inside of this group is where we share the secrets that we've uncovered as we scaled my partner Ben's practice from 6 figures-ish a year to over 7 figures a year in the span of 3 years. And so today I'm going to be covering our exact evaluation process, how we create a world-class client experience that gets people bought into buying our packages long before we ever even get to the pitch at the end of their evaluation. So if that is what you want, comment sales in the thread. Let me know that you guys are excited, because this is going to be the most valuable training that you have ever gotten for free. This training literally gets people from not being able to sell any cash packages. Just this week, we've onboarded several new people. And just this week from implementing this, we've had multiple people sell their first 10 visit packages for $1,500 plus. And so if that's something that you want to do, and you want to make more cash package sales, and you want to create a world-class patient experience, an environment where people not only want to pay your rates, but they see you just head and shoulders above every single other provider that they've ever seen for whatever ailments they might be experiencing at this time. Okay, so without further ado, I'm going to dive into the training and just show you guys a few of the resources that I'm going to be covering with you here today. So number one is I'm going to take you through our actual evaluation script. This script has generated us almost $2 million over the last 2 years. So I'm going to take you through how we actually structure our evaluations, how we get patients into what we call the buying pocket, so that they not only are excited to work with you and pay for your premium cash rates, but they also believe that in order to reach the outcome that they hope to gain, they absolutely need your help, and only your help, in order to achieve that within the time frame that they're looking for. So I'm going to cover the entire script and walk you through this today. But then I'm also going to show you the scorecard that we have all of our teams fill out after every single evaluation, so that we can easily track not only what our conversion rates are, what packages people are buying, but also be able to identify if we're in a sales rut. What are we forgetting to do in our sales process? What are we missing? And what do we need to get better at remembering to do to make sure that our sales continue to be consistent? So these are files that I'm only making available for free until this Friday. So if you want access to these and you want access to this training, I'm taking all of this stuff down this coming Friday. So if you want the script and you want the outline, put scripts in the comments around this. Make sure to smash that like and love button, because that's the only way Facebook is going to show this to more people, because what I'm about to share is easily the most valuable free thing that we have ever shared within this group, which is why we're taking it down Friday. So without further ado, let's dive into the script itself, and then I'll take you through the scorecard, how to use it. And again, if you want access to these things, just throw a script in the comments. I'll get that out to you. So today, the evaluation script, how to sell cash packages. So one of the things that people got to understand is that patient experience is far more important than patient outcomes. Okay, before people truly be bought into you, you have to make them feel a certain way. You have to make them believe that they can not only achieve what it is that they're hoping to achieve, but you have to also align with them on a certain level emotionally that makes them feel open to you, allows them to trust you and to believe that you are not only going to teach them how to achieve what it is they're going to do, you're going to help hold them accountable and educate them in a way so that they can manage all future things moving forward. And so we definitely have to know how to create a great patient experience and how to evoke certain emotions from our patients. And so what you're going to find as I walk through this script is that there are very intentional things that we are saying throughout the evaluation, that we are physically doing throughout the evaluation to help put prospects into that buyer's pocket. And when I say buyer's pocket, what I mean by that is when they not only believe that achieving their dream result is they're capable of it, but they also believe that you're the only way that they can get there in a time that wouldn't cost them even more in terms of time or wasted money. Okay, and so this script is very, very dialed in. This is something that we have experimented with over and over and over and over again over the span of 3 years. It works extremely well. But what I want to also explain to you is that scripts aren't something that I love. I don't really like scripts. Everyone has their own personality types. Everyone has their own levels of enthusiasm, and everyone explains things in different ways. And so although I am going to walk you through a script, I want you to understand that it is far more important how you make someone feel is far more important than what you actually say. And so when I walk through this script, understand that you don't have to say this word for word. You just have to understand what I'm saying, why I'm saying it, what I'm trying to get out of the prospect and what kind of emotional state I'm trying to put them in. And once you understand those things, once you understand those kind of emotional triggers that cause people to buy or not buy, doesn't matter what you say anymore. Okay. And so it becomes pretty darn simple. And so as you go through this, just take it with a grain of salt. You can reword these things. It's not, you don't have to say this word for word. Ben and I don't use a script at all for any kind of sales anymore, nor do our sales staff, just because we understand, like, here are the 7 main things that we need to hit on during an evaluation that's going to put that prospect in a state where they're ready to buy. And once you know those things, you can take things out of order. You can say them in different ways. There's a lot of different ways you can do it. And so the script is really only intended to teach you those frameworks. And so I prefer sales syntax rather than sales script, because it's really only designed to show you a framework, not the word for word thing. So if you understand, throw I understand in the comments, because a lot of people, they get a script, they memorize it, and then they sound like a robot, and then it ends up hurting their sales more than helping them. So another thing that I would recommend, if you have not seen this training already, last week I covered the 7 beliefs that your prospects have to have before they're willing to buy. And those 7 beliefs are also the 7 potential reasons that any prospect says no. Anytime someone does not buy is because we failed to address one of those 7 beliefs. Or if someone did buy, it's because we covered all 7 of those beliefs. And so that is kind of a prerequisite training to this training. So if you have not yet seen the 7 beliefs that prospects must have before they buy, it's called the 7 beliefs training. If you have not gotten that, put 7 beliefs inside of the thread, and I'll make sure that one of the people on our team gets you that training, just because if you don't understand the psychology behind why a script works, you're not going to properly be able to yield the script. It's kind of like handing Excalibur to a 5-year-old. Is it a really powerful sword? Yeah. Is it a really powerful sword in their hands? Probably not. Okay, so we have to understand the core beliefs that cause scripts to work before we can understand and use the script. So if you haven't gotten the 7 beliefs training yet, put 7 beliefs in the chat. I'll be sure to get that over to you. So assuming that you have gone through that, let's dive into the evaluation. So number 1 is, a lot of people spend way too much time on rapport building. We just want to get right into it. So we keep it really short and sweet. Hey, it's great to meet you. I've been reviewing your intake paperwork. Thanks for filling that out. Really helped me put together a really strong game plan for us today. So just out of curiosity, like, how'd you hear about us? Oh, Facebook. Oh, so-and-so referred you. Google. Perfect. Nice. What part of town are you in? Oh, nice. Yeah, I'm over here in Wauwatosa. Nice. You ready to get started? And that's it. Very short, very sweet. A lot of people spend too much time trying to build personal rapport, which is not why people buy. People do not buy because they simply like you. People buy because of professional rapport. And what builds professional rapport is not wasting your client's time and getting right into it. Okay, so be friendly, find out where they're from, let them know, oh yeah, I'm over here. But yeah, you ready to dive into this stuff and get started? Perfect, let's get to it. Okay, before we do anything, we have to tee up what is going to happen for this person. So a lot of people just go in blind, they don't know what to expect, and they are just assuming that your evaluation is going to be no different than any other evaluation they're going to go through. And so we have to tee this up in such a way that it not only gives the prospect crystal clear clarity on what it is that we're going to be doing, what it is they're going to get out of it, but we also collect the information necessary to tailor that evaluation to that prospect to guarantee that their evaluation is unlike anything else that they've already been through. Okay, so very, very important. So to tee this thing up, excellent. I've had dozens of folks just like you walk in with shoulder pain, not really being able to bench like they used to. So I'm super confident that I'm going to be able to help. But you know what? I'm not 100% sure until I really dig into this stuff. But just know, I've done this a lot, so you're in really good hands. Okay, so here's the plan today. The goal is to figure out the root cause of your shoulder pain. It could be a number of different things. So what we're going to do is just test several different things to identify exactly what's going on here. Okay. And once I figure that out, I'll help you understand exactly what's going on so that you have all the information that you need as well to make the best decision for yourself, whether that's working with us, working with someone else, or just taking care of this stuff on your own. Okay. From there, I'll put together a detailed plan tailored specifically for you and your lifestyle to help you resolve this issue forever. How does that sound? Okay, pretty strong build up so far. Okay, great. Before we begin, is it all right if I ask you a couple more questions that'll help you make your visit today as valuable as possible? Again, we want to make micro commitments to stuff. We want to get them saying yes before we ever move to the next phase in any sales process, whether that's through evaluation, selling high-ticket coaching, or selling lemonade. We always want to ask someone permission to move on to the next step, because it feels like they're in control. It feels like you have a really detailed process, and it gives off the energy or the vibe. Neither of those words are the ones I'm looking for, that you are here for them, that you are here to serve them. You're not just trying to force them into a process. You're asking them for permission and kind of testing the waters, how comfortable they are every single step of the way, making sure that they don't feel that sales pressure. Okay, perfect. So before we dive into the exam, are there any specific questions you have that you want to make sure I answer before our visit ends here today? And so this is important, because if you want to make sure that your premium price services are completely different than what people have tried in the past, let them tell you what it is that they want to get out of that evaluation, so you can tailor and customize that process around the patient. That's how you get really tailored feelings out of your prospects that, wow, this is really different. It's very geared to me. This isn't a cookie cutter approach that, ATI put me through down the street. And so we want to make sure that we get those details from them right away. What are they hoping to get out of it? What are their fears? So you can address those things before you get too deep into the process. Because if they have objections or they have fears that you do not overcome during the evaluation, and you wait until the end when you start to pitch, it's going to be really hard to overcome those objections when you're also talking about money. Before we get to the pitch, we want to make sure that we uncover all of their potential fears so that we can overcome objections before we get to the pitch, because now they have no reason to say no. Okay, that's how you get objectionless closes. And again, we talk about that in the 7 Bridges training, but it's really, really powerful stuff. So always ask this at the beginning. Okay. And now, of course, obviously take notes, write every single thing down. Okay, great, got you. What are you most concerned about when you come in here today? Collect all of those objections, reassure them they're in great hands, and they're going to leave the answers that they need, and that you are not a cookie cutter approach. It's going to be very, very tailored to what the issue you came in here with today. Again, reassure them that you've seen hundreds of people come in with shoulder pain or whatever it might be, and that no matter what, I know that I can give you the answers that you need to progress, whether that's with us or with somebody else. Okay. Once we have everything teed up, now we're asking clarifying questions. The clarifying questions are really recapping and reading back to them what they said during on their intake paperwork, because nothing is more annoying than filling out intake paperwork and then having the provider never actually mention it or talk about it. It feels like, why did I even fill that out? And so we want to ask them questions about their intake paperwork to, one, show that we've actually done our homework, and 2, to just gain deeper understanding of those things. Because why this is so important is when they originally signed up, when they originally got scheduled, and when they filled out that paperwork, they were in a certain emotional state of, I need to solve this problem. Okay, I'm willing to invest the time and the money to come in for this appointment, even though it goes completely against my standard normal routine. And so before we get them into the evaluation, before we get to the pitch especially, we want to put them in that same emotional state where their problem is their top priority, where that problem is preventing them from living their best life, and that problem is holding them back from achieving and doing the things that they ultimately want to do. And so we want to kind of probe at some of those things that they said on their intake paperwork to bring those issues to the forefront of their mind before we dive into it. Okay. So you want to pull up their evaluation accelerator form, but you don't want to read off it. You want to be making eye contact with them at least 80% of the time. Okay, so first off, thanks for taking the time to fill out this evaluation accelerator form. It really did help me put together a strong game plan for us today. But I do have a few clarifying questions just to gain deeper understanding of all of this stuff. So you're dealing with shoulder pain and you haven't been able to bench press in quite a while. And it's really making it hard for you to enjoy your workout. And you're getting a little bit more anxious from time to time, so you're not working out like you used to. Now, I know you gave us a lot of this information on the form, but would you mind giving me a little bit more detail on that, just so I can have better understanding what's going on and how it's impacting you? And so for doing this, we let them know that we went through the evaluation paperwork. We show them that we actually understand it because we're making eye contact, we're talking about it. But we're also gaining deeper understanding questions. If we just ask them those questions without first addressing and acknowledging the fact that you appreciate them for filling that out and taking the time, if you don't acknowledge that, then they're going to think that you didn't do your homework and you're going to be fighting an uphill battle the rest of the time. You want to let them know that you appreciate them, that you did your homework, but you just have a few questions to help tailor their experience even better here today. Okay. So, okay, I got it. So this happened not too long ago. You're doing a power clean and you haven't been able to drive your car with your right arm ever since, and you have to brush your teeth with your left arm all of a sudden. I totally got it. So, what do you feel like your biggest challenge is that you're facing right now with your shoulder pain besides just working out? Okay, so you're having a hard time cutting the grass. You're having a hard time taking the garbage out. You have to brush your teeth with your left hand. You have to drive with your left hand. And it's really just becoming an annoying inconvenience every single day. And it clearly isn't going away on its own. Okay, got it. So what else don't you like about this? Or, okay, why is getting back to bench pressing so important to you? And so this is going to dig into, and because at first they're going to give you a surface level answer like, oh, it's just so annoying. I can't drive with my strong arm anymore. But we want to dig even deeper and find the emotional state. Okay. So we know we want to get you back to, being able to bench press, but like, why is that so important to you? And then they're going to start giving the details. Well, me and my buddy, we used to go to the gym every single day and we'd work out together. But now our Monday, our favorite day, chest day, I'm over there working the bands while he's, hitting PRs. And, it drives me nuts. Okay. And so we want to find those underlying triggers because if they are competitive and they see people bypassing them, that competitiveness is something that we can kind of tailor our, the verbiage that we're using and tailor our pitch to. And so we want to be able to pick up on those underlying core things that they're saying. Okay, tell me about what you've done in the past to fix this. Okay, they're going to say, either they've done nothing, or I went to YouTube, or I went to a few chiros, or I tried, dry needling or cupping, and nothing seems to be working. So we want to understand those things again, because when we make our pitch and we tell them exactly how we can help them, we want to make sure that we position whatever it is that we are saying is going to work against what they've already tried. Because if they can't tell the difference between what they've tried and what you're going to teach them, they're going to assume all else is, equal, and they're not going to commit. And so it's very important that we understand what they've tried and why they believe it didn't work, so that we can, one, educate them on why those didn't work and validate them for their beliefs around why they think that didn't work, and then build up why what we're doing is different than what they tried and how it's going to yield a different result. So we can't do that unless we know. Now, once we have these things, again, this is all about, even though we know the answers to a lot of these questions, it's all about, one, making sure that the prospect knows that we know all these things, but also pulling those emotions to the forefront of that prospect's mind to get them into the buying pocket. Okay, stage 4, future pacing. Okay, again, this is stuff that they filled out on their form, but we want to dig into it and make sure we understand why all these things. So we can say like, okay, yeah, I know you said, once this problem is fixed, you'd like to get back to doing CrossFit and maybe do a competition, but what else do you want to do? Well, I've been really meaning to try doing, rings or something crazy. And so we want to find those other juicy things that they want to do that they're also going to benefit from by solving this, because the more things we can stack on that we can help them achieve, the higher the perceived value and the cheaper your prices seem compared to the cost of not working with you. Okay, so what exactly are you hoping to gain from this experience, and what does the best case scenario look like to you? Do you have any goals, races, or training events that you're trying to get back to or achieve? And why are those things important to you to accomplish? So these questions are all about figuring out like what are their deeper reasonings. And this is like the really strong stuff, the stuff that's attached to their identities. We want to make sure that we're writing all of this stuff down. Have the pen and pad open or your computer, maintain eye contact, but take notes so that you can circle back and tailor your pitch to these things. Okay, stage 5, obstacles. This is covering where they currently are. And so we want to figure out, one, where they currently are, which we'll call like Hell Island, and where they want to get, which is Heaven Island. And so we want to figure out where they currently are to where they're trying to go, so we can help build the gap between where they are and where they want to be, because the wider that gap is, the higher the perceived value of your solution. And so we need to understand both of these things, and then help them understand like how hard, like how difficult it would be to figure this out and get to the Heaven Island all by themselves compared to working with you. Because it's not, you don't just have to build up the value of your services. Most of you are really good at doing that, but what you're not good at doing is building up the cost of not working with you, which is almost like even more important than building up the value of working with you. Building up the cost of not working with you is very important. We can't do that unless we know where they are and where they're trying to go. And so stage 5, I hear you, but I want to make sure I'm 100% clear and that we're on the same page. You want to be able to get back to competing in CrossFit. Is that right? Okay. So if you had to say today, how close are you to actually being able to do that, like on your own? Oh, so out of 10, you feel like you're at a 2. So you're pretty far from thinking that you're able to do that right now. So we're figuring out where they are. We're building the gap in their mind for how far they have to go to get the thing that they want. So what would you say the biggest obstacles holding back from achieving that are? Outside of your shoulder pain, obviously your shoulder's hurting. Okay, so the shoulder pain is preventing you from working out, which is causing a cascading effect down through your life. You're not going out on runs. You're not eating as well. You're not reading as much. You're not journaling. So basically, it sounds like all of your habits are kind of falling apart because this one core habit is falling apart. Okay, got it. So what would you say? Cover other obstacles they're having. Just curious, if you don't solve this issue, are there any other areas of your life that are going to be impacted by this? Okay, so the more things that we ask here, the bigger we're building that gap in their mind. Okay, so now once we understand all of those things, we want to tell them a story. We want to build up their confidence that you can help them, and also pre-frame them to what working with you and achieving that is actually going to look like. So I got it. You remind me a lot of, Mr. Smith. I helped back, who I got help not only get back to CrossFit, but also got him back to competing. When they came in, they were struggling with, shoulder pain as well. And they even said the same thing, that they couldn't brush their teeth with their strong hand. And they were trying to get back to competing. So, they had several other PTs, and they saw several other PTs and chiros, and tried massage therapy, tried to, even acupuncture, but they basically tried everything to solve it, but it wasn't going away. Then they got referred to us by a friend, and we took them through the exact same assessment that we're about to do here together. We identified the real cause of their issue. And by the time they completed their package with us, they were back to competing, and not only doing that, but they were actually stronger in hitting PRs that they never thought they'd actually be able to do at the age of 50. So I'm pretty darn confident that we can help, but I'm honestly not sure yet. Are you ready to dive into the assessment and figure out what's really going on? Again, asking for permission to transition. So it's very important that we share the story so that the people can see themselves as the protagonist in another person. No, not protagonist, antagonist. Yeah, protagonist in the story that you're sharing, so that they can believe like, well, if they can do it, then there's no reason I can't do it. And if they got exactly where I'm trying to go, then I want to follow use the exact same vehicle they use to get there, which is you. Okay, so once we tee that up and we set the table, now it's time to actually do the assessment. And so during this, the ultimate goal is to do some, manual work, get them moving, and we want to help them achieve what we call an action-based win. Okay, the action-based win is basically help creating enough momentum to show them like, holy crap, this does work, which helps instill the belief that, oh my, like I need to keep doing this because now I believe with full certainty that this is actually going to get me where I'm trying to go. And so if they said that they haven't been able to bench for 3 weeks, your goal during that first visit is to get them to bench. Okay, and so it doesn't mean they have to do like a lot of weight, but we have to get them doing the movements. They can feel that there's progress actually made to help them believe that you're not only good at communicating, but you're actually good at what it is that you do. Okay, so we want to do a little bit to help them achieve something during this first visit. Okay, if you can get them to achieve something, it's very, very difficult for them to justify in their minds that doing more of this isn't going to put them in a really good position moving forward. Okay, and as you're going through this assessment, what's very, very important is that every single thing that you find, every single area that's stiff, every single area where you find some sort of strength and balance, whatever it is that you're finding, you write down every single thing that might be contributing to the pain that they're having. You want to build as big of a problems list as you can, because at the end of the assessment, before you get into the pitch, you're going to go over, here are all the things that I found, and educate them on how they're contributing to the problem. Because now before you go into the pitch, you're basically saying like, okay, I know you came in here for shoulder pain, but we're going to fix all of these things that are contributing to not only make you feel better than ever and to get you out of pain, but also to make sure that this pain doesn't come back and that future injuries are avoided entirely. And you also know how to manage those things if flare-ups do start to come up. And so we need to be building a list so that we can use those to build credibility to our recommendation at the end. Okay. Now, once we've gone through that, now we have the unfolding stage. So basically, when we get to this part, this is where most practice owners and PTs get really hung up, because they try to take off their expert clinician hat and put on their sales hat. And that's where things get awkward and they get weird. Don't do that. You don't need to be great at sales. You need to be a great clinician. And if you think and believe that you're a great clinician, put me in the chat below, because I've never talked to a single PT that didn't believe that they were an incredibly good clinician. But every single one of them says, I'm horrible at sales. Okay, so don't put on the sales hat where you're a 4. Keep the expert hat on where you're a 10, and just tell them your expert opinion based off all the other people that you've helped in the past, what this person needs to do to get the result that they want. And then let the cards fall where they may. You don't have to convince anybody. You just have to be honest, come from a place of servitude, and just tell them exactly what it is that they need, and then communicate with them to figure out what it is that needs to happen to get them there. And as long as you did a good job in the beginning of figuring out like what their concerns were and talking them through that during the evaluation, you should have by now already overcome all of their actual objections about working with you. And now the only thing you need to do once you make your recommendation, your expert opinion, not your sales pitch, but you provided your expert opinion, figuring out how to make that happen for the client is all about logistics, not overcoming objections. So again, the 7 belief bridge, that incredibly powerful training. If you didn't get that, put 7 beliefs in the chat and we'll get that sent over to you, because that's a really powerful concept. If you like making sales and selling cash package sales without having any objections to overcome, it's a really, really beautiful thing. Okay, so now that we're here, well, Mr. Smith, I can tell you're dealing with this. So I'm not surprised that you're frustrated and that you came in today. The good news is I see injuries like this all the time, and I'm very successful with helping them, and especially getting them back to CrossFit. We do that all the time, completely pain-free. Okay, we've already seen some significant changes in our first session, which is super encouraging. The great news is, because of what I'm seeing here, you're not going to need a $2,500 MRI, injections, or surgery to solve this thing quickly. And so this is a really important line, because it price anchors your rates, whether, hopefully they're in the $175 to $200 range. This pre-frames your packages against other services that they're afraid of needing to purchase, MRIs and surgery. And so now you might charge $1,500 for a package, you might charge $2,000 for a package, but compared to these other things, it's cheap. And so this is a very important line that you want to inject in there. Say, okay, so once that's done, I definitely have a few ideas on how we can help, solve your shoulder pain for sure. But before I share that, do you have any questions for me about any of the things that we've gone through during this assessment? And again, this is about asking for permission to move to the next step, to keep the prospect feeling like they are in control of the situation, but you clearly have a process that they're following through, but they feel like they're in control. It reduces the sales pressure, making the person feel more comfortable, more willing to open up, and more willing to buy. Okay. And so if they have questions, go over those questions, educate them. And again, when we ask this, we don't want to just ask this just for the sake of asking this. We want to ask this to listen, to identify, are there objections that I missed that I want to cover before I move into the presentation? Because if you can overcome all 7 objections prior to the pitch, when you make the pitch, how can the prospect say no? So when we ask questions like this, like, do you have any questions about what I just laid out for you? Or concerns around this? We are looking for different body language that shows that they're a little like iffy on the whole thing. We're looking for tonality to see how confident they are moving forward, how excited they are about the process, how much they're bought in. And obviously we're listening to what it is that they actually say. And so we're looking for all of these things to gauge, like, is this person in the buying pocket? And if they're not, there's something that we missed that we need to dig into, that we need to overcome before I make this pitch. Because if you make the pitch and you didn't overcome one of those objections, they're not going to buy. Okay, so be very intentional when you ask these questions before the transition to make sure that this person's actually ready to make that transition. Take it slow. Okay, now we're getting into the presentation. So with that, so what we've talked about so far, like I said, now I'm with 100% sure that I'm very confident that we can help. Here's why, though, because I know every single provider that you've probably seen before probably said the same thing. And it's important to me that you understand that I don't say this to everyone, and that when I say that you're a good fit and I can help, I want you to know that I mean it. So know how you were telling me how you're trying to get back to competing, but your shoulders causing a bunch of issues, and it's actually causing all of your habits to kind of break down, and it's just making life difficult. Well, I just want you to know that, I helped so-and-so do this exact same thing. They were dealing with X, Y, and Z exactly as you were. They came to see me, and in 3 to 4 visits, we got them entirely out of pain and actually back to bench pressing. But not only that, once we got them back, we're able to solve the core issue of their problem and make sure that that problem, was actually fixed. It wasn't going to come back a few weeks later. And then after that, we focused on performance and strengthening to make sure that that injury and other injuries never happen, and that he was actually better after working with us than he was before the injury. How does that sound for you? Does that sound like something that's going to work? Perfect. So how things work for us is that we treat people in 3 phases. Phase 1, get out of pain, find the root cause and get you out of pain, and then focus on performance and strengthening to make sure that these problems and other future ones are avoided entirely. And so at this point, we take them through a chart that we actually hang up on our wall called Mount Dumore that breaks down our 3-step process. And it's really important to have a visual that shows people what your process looks like, so that, you're trying to, if you envision a river, you're taking them from one side of the river and trying to get them to believe that they can get to the other side. If you only explain how they can get to the other side, there's a little bit of confusion still in there. A lot of people are visual. They need to see something. And so you need a visual guide to show them, here's where the stones are across the river that you can just hop on to get across. If you show someone a map, it's a heck of a lot easier for them to believe that they can arrive to the destination than if you just tell them directions verbally, right? Has anyone ever told you directions on how to get somewhere over the phone? You're kind of like, what? Okay, it's way easier to have a GPS. And so the way to have a GPS in your practice that's going to help your prospects believe they can reach the destination is to have it mapped out on a wall and use that as a selling tool. Okay. So based off of those things and the fact that you showed up today and are willing to, get back to CrossFit using physical therapy, I'm sure that you'd appreciate learning the exact process that we use that sets us apart so that you can get back to CrossFit completely shoulder pain free. How's that sound? Good? Perfect. Then walking through the map that I just showed you, the 3-step process that's going to help them reach the desired goal, and go over, again, the Mount Dumore poster. This is something that we provide all of our clients. This is something that you can make for yourself. It's really not hard. We made it in Canva. Okay, so the first step is get you out of pain. This typically happens within 2 to 3 visits. The next step is to resolve the root cause of that pain that we identified here today. So lastly, to make sure that this issue does not come back, the third step is focused on strengthening your performance to not only get you rid of these problems for good, but also prevent future injuries from happening, so the odds of you coming back here are as minimal as possible. The only reason you'll want to continue working with us is because you just love working with us. And honestly, that sometimes happens. You want to laugh and smile. You usually get a laugh out of the patient for that. Seriously. So many of our, some of our clients wouldn't stop working with us even if we tried. They literally just value our transparency and what we have to offer, and the fact that we continually help them make long-term improvements to their health and wellness. And so the best part of this whole thing is that afterwards you'll be entirely independent and have the knowledge and skills to prevent and manage any other future injuries for life. Does that process sound like it's going to get you back to CrossFit? They're going to say yes. And when they say yes, challenge that yes. Always say, oh, well, I'm glad that you believe so. But just out of curiosity, like why does that process sound like it's going to work for you specifically? And then they're going to basically explain that to you, which is them selling to you why they should work with you, which is, again, going to help when you actually unveil what it is that you should do. Love it. So here's what this looks like in action and how we'll get you back to going to competing in CrossFit as quickly as possible. You'll work with me one-on-one for 60 minutes once per week. Okay, you have a few options to choose from. You can either do and then from here, we're going to tell them exactly how many visits that they need. So you have a few options to choose from. You can either do single visits one at a time, or you can utilize one of our packages, which is what most of our clients actually do. So based on your diagnosis and your goal and the dozens of other folks that have helped with the same issue get back to CrossFit, I recommend that you do our 10 visit package we have. This will cover your entire plan of care. It'll also allow us to commit to fully solving this with you, and for you to commit to finally resolving this injury for good, so that you don't need to keep coming back and seeing people for this thing. Normally, our rates are $225 per visit, but when you do the 10 visit package, it brings that cost down to $175 per visit, which is going to allow you to save X $100. Does that sound fair? And then you just shut up. Okay, you just shut up and let them tell you where their comfort level is, and you figure out, what the best pricing option is. So that usually, if they say that, that process sounds really good to you, they've already convinced themselves that, okay, 10 visit package, I agree, that is what I need. Now we just got to figure out how to logistically pay for it. So we don't tell them, we typically don't want to tell them that we do offer pricing plans. We want to do our best to collect that cash flow up front so we can reinvest that into our patient experience and into our marketing. But if they push back on that, then you can offer the payment plans. And so what we'll normally do is we tell them, okay, so our 10 visit package rate, it's $2,000. And basically just be quiet. It's like, how does that sound? Okay, we can sense like if there's if there's a little friction there, and if it does sound expensive and they're having a financial objection, we want to make sure that the financial objection is really what's going on. So we want to isolate that. So if they say that's pretty expensive, okay, I understand. Let's talk about that for a second. So when I laid out the process before, you said that you're 100% sure that this is going to get you to where it is you want to be. Did you mean that, or are there any issues with the process that you are hesitant about getting you to where you want to go? Okay, so if they have an objection there, then you can talk more about the process and overcome that. But if they say, yes, it's 100% that I know this is what I want to do, I know this is going to work, now we just have to figure out the logistics of paying for it. And so if we isolate the issue and we find that it's truly just a financial objection, there's a couple different ways we can do it. So we can offer, okay, Mr. Smith, so if it's truly just a financial issue, I know we can find something that works for you. And I want to be able to get you our full package cost savings, because I don't want you to have to pay extra when I know you're committed to doing this 10 visits. So we can do one of two things. You can either pay 50% of it up front, and then the rest off of the payment plan. And I'm still happy to give you the 10 visit package rate. How does that sound? If they push back on that, then offer them a payment plan that'll decrease the level of the discount that they get. So maybe it'll take it from $175 to $185 per session, but then they'll be able to pay on a per visit basis off of a verbal agreement. And so those are the three ways that I do it. I start off trying to get them to pay full price. If they push back, I tell them, well, I really liked you, and I know that we can get you a fantastic result, and I can tell you're bought in. So I want to make sure that you get your 10 visit package savings. What if we just paid half today, and then we'll pay the rest off on whatever payment plan you're comfortable with? How does that sound? And so you'll find a lot of people will just bite on that immediately, pay half up front, so you still get that influx of cash flow you can use. And if it's still like, I'd love to do the 50%, but honestly, cash flow is really tight right now, I just had to replace my AC unit, or whatever it might be, then you can say, okay, I totally understand. So from here, we can either go and you can just pay us on a per visit rate, and our single one-off rates are $250. So we can just do that if you want, but I can say that it's going to cost you more if you go through this whole thing. So if you are committed to doing the 10 visit package and you can verbally commit to coming in for 10 visits, what I'll do is I'll still give you a heavy discount on your 10 visit package, but instead of $175, we're going to do $185. And as long as you agree right here and now that you're going to show up to these 10 visits and you're committed to solving this problem, I have no problem going on a per visit rate. How does that sound? Okay. And so you slowly work them down the ladder, but you're only offering the payment plan to the people who truly need it. Because most people, they can pay at least 50% up front, and then you can use those resources to create a stronger team, stronger environment, more marketing allows for more cash flow allows for more impact in the community. And so we want to make sure that we're not laying out too many options on payment plans right away, because it can be overwhelming. And you'll find that if you lay out too many pricing options, especially if you're using a pricing sheet, which I don't recommend, you're going to find this like Goldilocks problem where people are just going to choose the middle priced thing every single time, which is going to hurt your lifetime value. It's going to hurt your scalability, and it's going to hurt your impact you're able to have, because cash flow equals impact. Okay. You need to have cash flow to change the world. It's a lot harder to make a huge impact when you don't have any money. So let me know if you guys have any questions on the actual script itself. Like I said, this script is going to be available for people to download up until Friday. After that, you got to be inside of our book partnership program to gain access to this training. This video is also going to be taken down Friday, so absorb it, take notes while you can, ask questions while you can. I want to be able to help you all with this. And so the last tool I want to show you that you will get when you opt in for this evaluation bundle that we're kind of doing this week, that comes with this training, that comes with this script. The last piece of it is the evaluation scorecard. And so we have our teams and every single one of our clients, after each evaluation, fill this out, which is basically just the entire script broken down into columns. And so we found that whenever people are just killing it with sales, they're hitting on all of these things. Okay. But eventually, even the best salespeople, they get sloppy, they get cocky, and they start skipping over this stuff. And so we want to be able to make sure that we're filling this in for every single evaluation that we have, so that we're like, oh my gosh, like Susie has been in a sale rut. She hasn't sold a package in, this entire week, but for the last month, she's been killing it. Like, what's going on? Instead of asking her what's going on, because usually she's not really going to know, you can go back to the sales sheet. You can say, okay, you're following the entire process, but you're forgetting to establish the gap and figure out what their future goal is. You're skipping over that because you personally, because you've seen so many people with this issue, you know what their future goal is. And so you're skipping over that, not realizing that the prospect you're working with does not know that you know that. So you need to ask so that they believe that you know that, so they can trust you when you give them a prescription of what it is that you think they need to do. And so if you don't fill out this scorecard, it's really hard to nail down, like, why are you in a sales rut? Why are your clinicians and people on your team not selling at the same rate? And so we want to use this so that we know where our weaknesses are, and so that we can also track what packages are people are buying. What is our sales conversion rate? And so very, very valuable resource to have, not only for tracking and analyzing your sales, but also to just get in the habit of mastering this sales process. Because obviously you can't have a script up with you while you're doing the evaluation, but if you analyze at the end of each evaluation and go through this, be like, oh, I forgot this one. On the next one, you're not going to forget it. And so by practicing and going through this and filling up the scorecard, you're going to memorize this process. You're going to have a world-class evaluation process. Your package conversion rates are going to go through the roof. Because your package conversion rates go through the roof, your cash flow goes through the roof. You invest in marketing, your schedule and your capacity goes through the roof. You're able to hire, you're able to remove yourself from treatment a little bit so you can focus on admin. Next thing you know, you got a team of 3 people, you're doing 50, 60K a month, and life is good. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And if you guys have any questions, please feel free to share that with me. Total Athlete Sports Medicine, good to see you on here. Alistar, Jeffrey, Lisa, Neil, Dave, dude, what's going on, man? I haven't seen you in so long. Hope life is good, man. George, Ty, AJ. Guys, great to see you on here. I will make sure that we get this resource out to all of you immediately, first thing tomorrow morning. And just remember, this training we're doing to celebrate the massive accomplishments that Ben and ProKinetics and our team has been able to reach. We're doing $1.5 million this year across our 3 locations, which is incredibly exciting. So next year we're shooting for 2. And so today is all about just celebrating that and sharing with each and every one of you, only the members of the Cash Physical Therapy headquarters community, what we're doing that has allowed us to convert 90% of evaluations into packages that made all this stuff possible. Because we fully believe cash physical therapy is the future. I don't think the APTA is going to change the physical therapy industry. I think a lot of rich cash physical therapists are. And so we want to share this information with all of you so that you can get your practice to where it is you need to be, so you can get your time back, you can get the cash flow to make some real change in our communities and within the industry. So we'll be taking this down Friday. Get it in, ask questions while you can. We'll share all the resources with you tomorrow morning. But thank you all for being here. It really means the world to me, and I appreciate the engagement. So everyone have a fantastic rest of your night, We'll talk later. Peace.